everybody, it's Glenn Kuiper, and it is the Glenn Kuiper Show, all Giants, and it's a pregame edition tonight as we get ready for the Giants and the Padres down in San Diego. Want to get this out right away. We had a great guest tonight that was going to come on, Grant Brisbee from The Athletic. Everybody knows Grant. He's one of my favorite writers. He's terrific, covers the Giants for The Athletic. McCovey Chronicles, that was his baby. But he let me know today he was very under the weather. The old stomach bug got him. So unfortunately, we teased Grant that he was going to be on tonight, but he is not going to make it. So I wanted to make sure that everybody out there knew that. So unfortunately, no Grant Brisbee tonight, but hopefully we'll get him back on at some point soon. He's terrific, does a great job covering the Giants. So couple notes before we get to our sponsors and then we get to our show. I want to thank the viewers because in 3.5 months that my show has been running, we are closing in on 3,000 subscribers. We're very close. We may get there tonight. I don't know if that's good or not, but it feels good. It feels like we're making progress. And so I wanted to thank the subscribers. They have been great. They've been following. And I just wanted them to know that I certainly do appreciate that. Also wanted to let everybody know that our Friday Night Kipes shows that my brother Dwayne and I do at the Gotham Club after every Friday night home game. We're now getting those out on my channel, audio only, but they're super fun. Ryan and Eric, the two guys that produce my show, they've worked really hard on these, and they're turning out great. A couple are out. We got a new one coming out where our guests were FP Santangelo, JT Snow. That should be out tonight or tomorrow. So make sure you check those out. They're a lot of fun, and they're certainly full of laughs. And also, as always, I love the comments. I love the questions during the show. I do my best to get to those. It's kind of weird you're doing the show, but you're also kind of looking over here because I have a comments column here. But I do my best to get to the people and answer any questions I have. And listen, let me know what you guys are liking about the show, what you're not liking, what you want to see more of. We're not quitting when baseball's over. We're here all off season, twice a week with the live shows and the videos. None of that is going to change. And we're going to have a lot of fun in the off season in what should be a very important offseason for the San Francisco Giants. So anyways, wanted to get some of that out there before we get started. You know the drill. We got to hear from our sponsors. As an investor, one of the best places to put your money is California's multifamily real estate. By investing with Tilden Properties, you'll see quarterly dividends and equity buildup in the real estate market. Bay Area based and family owned, Tilden Properties has been building investment wealth big time for their clients since 2008. Call 925-209-8558 and check out their website at Tilden Properties. And of course, it's the Kehrig Real Estate Team. Since 1978, the Kehrig Real Estate Team has been helping families buy and sell homes in the Bay Area with a legacy of client-first service. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or making your first home purchase, trust the Kehrig Real Estate Team to guide you home. Contact Mike Kehrig today. He's going to give you a free home sale or purchase consultation. Call Mike at 925-548-4132 or go to the website, kehrigteam.com. All right, let's get the show going. As we said, it's a pregame show for the Giants and the Padres. Game 3 of that series. Giants come in 61-65. Still fighting to try to get things going. But they're 6.5 back of that third and final wild card spot. Padres, on the other hand, they're 70-56. They're 2 games behind the Dodgers in the West. And remember, the Dodgers come to San Diego this weekend for a huge 3-game series. The Padres do own the second wild card right now, so they're in a pretty decent spot as far as the postseason goes. So 36 games left for the Giants. And in this series so far, Monday night, Giants win 4-3, score early, 4 in the first. Nothing after that. They were looking to add on, hoping to add on. They didn't, but they hung on for the win, 4-3 final, 3 home runs in that first inning. And then last night, Padres snap a 4-game losing streak with a 5-1 win. Giants scored again in the first inning on a home run, but unfortunately that was it. So the Giants have scored 4 runs in this series. I take that back. They've scored 5 runs in the series, and all the runs have been by the home run. If my math serves me correctly, and it usually does. So all runs on home runs. And again, they scored 4 in the first on Monday night. So just 1 run scored in the last 17 innings. So Padres got a good pitching staff and a very good bullpen. And they've been able to kind of quiet the Giants really since that very first inning on Monday night. Some of the numbers, these numbers, some of the ugly ones, they keep showing up. Giants are 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position in the first 2 games of the series. And the one that's really, it's been there all year, and it's almost becoming more glaring now, is the strikeouts. Giants struck out 10 times on Monday. They struck out 12 times last night. So it's just a thing. It's a thing with this team, and they've now struck out 100 times in the last 9 games. And listen, this is something. This strikeout thing, it's not going to get fixed this year. It's just not. It's part of what this team is all about, unfortunately. And it's not going to get fixed this year, but it is going to need to change somehow, some way, going into the 2026 season. The strikeout issue, and everybody's aware of it. And we're already seeing the front office look to people that put the bat on the ball. It started in the draft this year. So anyways, that is a thing. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to go away, the strikeouts. One note that just came out from Bob Melvin in his little pregame press conference that he has before tonight's game. Blade Tidwell, the right-handed starting pitcher, one of the guys the Giants got from the Mets in the Rogers trade, was pitching extremely well. Had 3 good outings for Sacramento. And I do believe he was very, very close to being called up. But he felt some shoulder discomfort, and this is coming right from Bob Melvin just moments ago. He felt shoulder discomfort during a recent bullpen session, and he's going to get an MRI. So that's unfortunate, because I do think that he was close to getting to the big leagues for the first time, and he has a chance to be a pretty big part of the future. Giants wanted him; they got him from the Mets, and so we'll see. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but it is going to be an MRI for Blade Tidwell. So that's some of the notes from this series so far. Now, what's going on tonight? Well, it's not 6:40 first pitch, so it's not really too far away, the first pitch. We're hoping to run the show here up against first pitch as close as we could to get everybody ready for tonight. Landon Roop and JP Sears is the pitching matchup. Now, we'll get to Roop in a moment, but it's the left-hander Sears, who just was called back up from AAA. He actually, remember, he was part of the trade with the Athletics, the Mason Miller trade. He made 1 start for the Padres and then got sent back down. So this will be his second start with San Diego. So he just got brought back up from AAA. But overall, I mean, he was in the Athletics rotation right from the get-go. But overall, he's 7-10, high ERA of just a shade under 5, and 22 starts this year for JP Sears. He is a left-hander, so that's a thing. Giants have had very little success against left-handers. We'll see what they do with Sears tonight. He got off to a great start with the Athletics. He was 4-1 in the month of April and pitching extremely well, but since then he just has not been able to keep that going. So he has struggled some. Lefties hitting 293 against him. Righties hitting 262. No secrets, though. The Giants have faced him twice this year, if you can believe that. The Giants beat him on May 16th. That was at Oracle. And then on the 4th of July, he shut out the Giants up in Sacramento, 6 shutout innings. So he's got a loss against the Giants and a win against the Giants. And they have seen him in years past as well. So there's nothing tricky here. They know about JP Sears. Fastball in, changeup away. It's pretty simple stuff with Sears. So we'll see what happens today as the Giants go against the lefty JP Sears. And Landon Roop, I love talking about Landon Roop. I think you folks know that I'm a Roop guy. He's 7-6, 3.45 ERA, 22nd start of the year. He was on the injured list for a little bit. Elbow was barking. Seems to be okay now. What I'd like to see, and I like to do this now with 5.5 weeks left in the season. What do we want to see from a guy in the final 5.5 weeks? Well, with Roop, he's at 104 innings pitched. So I'd like to see the Giants, and I know that they will. They're going to monitor his workload. I think they're going to be careful with him. But for Roop, I think it's really important for him, his first year in a starting rotation at the big league level. The innings are increasing for him. But I think any time a rookie, and I'm not sure if he's actually a rookie, but first time in a rotation, anytime they can get into September and keep pitching and just keep working through it. There's going to be nights where maybe the velocity is down. Maybe the stuff's not great. Maybe you're tired. But I think I'd love to see Roop make it through September. What do we got? 36 games left. So maybe 5 or 6 more starts for him. Maybe he's not going 6 or 7 innings. Maybe he's not throwing 100 pitches. Be careful with him with the pitch count. But let's hope that he can stay healthy and work his way through the month of September as a first-year guy in the rotation. I think that would be huge for Landon Roop. Maybe get him to 130 innings. But pitching in September is a big deal. You want this guy to be part of the rotation for a while, right? Not just next year. He has a chance to be kind of a building block here. So let's watch him close and kind of hope he can stay healthy and make 5 or 6 more starts and make it to the end of the year healthy. That's what I'm looking for from Landon Roop, because I think the young man is talented. And he's made progress this year. He's made improvements. He's made some changes that have helped him a lot. Less curveballs, more changeup, and it's showing. He's not a hard thrower, but he's got pretty good stuff, and he's got some moxie on the mound. And I think he has a chance to be a big part of the Giants' future. But let's watch him the next 5.5 weeks and see how he does. And I think it'll be really important to him if he can make it through this season and stay in the starting rotation. So something to watch for with Landon Roop as we move forward. So Schubert 33 is checking in with a super chat. We appreciate it. You'll always live in the hearts and minds of A's fans. Glad the channel is growing, and I try to watch as often as I can. Schubert, what do you want me to say? I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you very, very much. In all sincerity, I had 21 great years with the A's. I had a ton of fun. I met some great people. I got to do my dream job of being a play-by-play announcer. I hope I get to do it again. But I hold those broadcasting years near and dear to my heart, and the A's fans who were great to me. I feel the same way, because the A's fans treated me extremely well. Front office, that's a different story. But the A's fans were terrific. And, I feel bad for them for kind of what they're going through. So Schubert 33, thank you very much. That means the world to me. I really do appreciate it. And just so you know, I'm thinking about you too. So anyways, let's get to the lineups for tonight's game. Just throw it out there real quick. For the Giants, Ramos is going to lead off. Then Devers, Adames, Flores, Schmidt, Lee, Koss, Fitzgerald, and Bailey. So Ramos, what we're seeing from Bob Melvin, Ramos in the leadoff spot against left-handers. Jung-Hoo Lee, we saw last night in the leadoff spot against right-handers. We'll see if that continues. But tonight, Jung-Hoo Lee is a hot hitter, and we're going to talk about him in a little bit. He's in the 6th spot. Adames is back. That's good. And when a lefty's in the mound, we're seeing Devers move into the 2nd spot. When a righty's on the mound, we've been seeing him in the 3rd spot lately. So just a few changes that Bob makes with the lineup. But so that's what the Giants are throwing out tonight. Still no Matt Chapman on the injured list, although the good news with there is that his hand's feeling better. Got a cortisone shot. Maybe I think he's eligible to come back maybe Saturday. And so maybe we'll see him in Milwaukee. Who knows? But he did say he was feeling better yesterday. So that's a good thing. For the Padres, Tatis, Arise, Machado, O'Hearn, Laureano, Sheets, Iglesias, Cronenworth, and Fermin. A good lineup. We've seen it a lot. And you think about O'Hearn hitting fourth, Laureano hitting fifth. Those are the two guys they got from Baltimore at the trade deadline. And both those guys have really done a good job. Laureano's had a terrific season. Some people thought maybe Ramon Laureano, I don't know, maybe his career was on the downside. You know, he had some good years with the A's. I saw him firsthand, and he was a really good player, but kind of fell off a little bit. But boy, you look at his numbers; he's having a really nice year. So those two guys, O'Hearn and Laureano, are doing what you hope they do when you make a big trade like that for the Padres is produce, because they're both in the lineup every day, and both those guys have done that. So kudos to them. And the Padres, you know, they made quite a few deals, and those two are working. They're working. They're in the lineup every day, and they're doing well. So that's the two lineups for tonight. And interesting too. We're going to talk about Jung-Hoo Lee here, and we're going to talk about how well he's doing, what we want to see the rest of the way, and where is the spot to hit him in the lineup. This is a tough one for me. And we're gonna get to that as we talk about Jung-Hoo Lee. First of all, happy 27th birthday. Not from just the Jung-Hooligans, but from me, the Glenn Kuiper Show. Jung-Hoo Lee is 27 years old today. So happy birthday to him. So let's look at his season a little bit, because he's such an interesting player to me. And he's a very important player, for the Giants. His numbers: 262, 7 homers, 47 RBIs. Nothing there really is going to jump out at you. 29 doubles, 10 triples. That jumped out at me a little bit. On base percentage of 325. Probably could be a little bit better. OPS 742. That's a number that could go up. But here's my thoughts on his season. Remember, he has not played a full season in a couple years. In 2023, his last year in Korea, he was hurt. He only played in 86 games. Last year, his first year with the Giants, he only played in 37 games. So this is his first full year at the major league level here in the States. And the baseball in Korea is very good. The baseball in Japan is very good. But there's a little more to the grind of a 162-game major league season here in the States. And that's something that I'm watching for with Lee. And what I like is the fact that he's playing well late in the year. Now, you look at his season, and it's been interesting, right? I have the numbers. In April, he hit 324. Remember, he got off to a great start. And he was rolling. I mean, he was just rolling. In May, he dropped to 231. So, listen, I mean, you're going to slow down some. But then June hit, and he just went off the rails at June. He hit 143. Couldn't do anything. Couldn't get a hit. Couldn't buy a hit. I mean, it was like a 5 for 50 skid, give or take. July, he bounces back, hits 278 in July. And here in August now, he's hitting 344 in August. So I like the fact that he has rebounded from a couple tough months. And now he's hot. He's playing well, which is great to see. Again, like we talked with Roop, what do we want to see from Jung-Hoo Lee the rest of the year? I just think if he may not stay hot like 344 hot, but if he can be strong the final 5.5 weeks, again, I think that's a really big deal for him, because he fought through a long, long slump, probably lost a little confidence, as most hitters will do, but now he's coming back and he's playing well. If he can play well the final month of the season, that's going to be huge for his confidence. And obviously it's going to help the Giants, but I think it's going to help the Giants evaluate him going into next year, because he's part of this, right? He's got a long-term contract. He's a building block for this team. And that's why I just think if he can stay strong and be be productive, and have a good final month of the season. You know, see what the numbers are when it happens, but stay healthy, finish it out, and then you can say, hey, I got a full year of big leagues in here in the States. My numbers were okay. I think they can be better. And I think they can be better too. I look at him as a player here. He's a good defender. I think everybody will agree with me on that. He's a good defensive center fielder. I think his baseball instincts are good. You don't see him make mistakes very often, whether it be in the outfield or on the bases. Or now, listen, does he hit too many ground balls at second base? Yes, but that's things that he can get better at. Baseball instincts, it's hard to get better at having those, okay? And he has them, and that's a big deal. And he's a really good base runner. And I know you think, are these things that important? Yes, they're damn important. They're damn important. And I am quite sure that the Giants front office is looking and saying, we need more players with better instincts. We need more players who make fewer mistakes. And we need more players who run the bases, show some speed. And Lee has these things. Now, is there room for statistical improvement? Yeah, actually, I think for him, for Lee to max out and be the best player he can be, knowing the type of player he's not a 25 home run guy, but a lot of doubles, a lot of triples. I think Lee has to be a 280 hitter. If he's a 280, 285 hitter, doing what he does defensively with his instincts, with his speed, there's no reason why he can't, have 35 doubles and, maybe 12 to 15 home runs and 9, 10, 12 triples and 20 stolen bases. That's the kind of player he needs to be statistically. But the other stuff is there. And I think that's important. The instincts are really good. And we've seen players who don't have good baseball instincts, and it costs them. We've seen players that are not good defensively, and it costs the team always. But what the kind of player the Giants need to look for, guys who have energy, have some speed, play with a little fire. I think Lee has those qualities because we've seen them some. If we can see them a little bit more, then you have yourself a pretty darn good player. And we've seen kind of the building blocks of what kind of player he could be in this first full year at the big league level. So my last thing on Lee, and this is a tough one. Where do you bat him in the lineup? And I went on this show, I think 2 shows ago, and I was like, something I'd like to see maybe the Giants do the rest of the season is maybe take Lee, put him in the leadoff spot, leave him there against righties or lefties, and see if this is the best spot for him. He has not hit in the leadoff spot a lot this year. Remember, originally in spring training, it was like that's where he's going to be. But then I think the Giants felt like, well, wait a minute, maybe he's better in the third spot. The third spot is where he has actually hit the most. Not so much lately, but at the beginning of the year, really he was in the third spot a lot, really the first 2 months of the year. So is the leadoff spot the best spot for him? If he's the kind of player that I just talked about, if he could turn into that kind of player, yeah, then I think so. Is he better in the third spot? Can he be a guy who drives in a lot of runs? Maybe unconventionally as a third hole hitter because he's not a huge home run hitter. I don't know. Tonight he's hitting 6th. Is he better down at the bottom of the lineup? But not way at the bottom, but I'm talking, is he better 6th? If you're just looking at batting average, when he hit in the third spot this year, he hit 275. When he's been in the leadoff spot, he's hit just 204. So again, the leadoff spot, not a huge sample size. That's the batting average in a small sample size. I just think I'm not sure where the best spot is for him yet. but let's find out if the leadoff spot is the best spot for him. That was kind of my thought of a couple shows ago, and we'll see if the Giants do that. I know they like Ramos. I know Bob likes Ramos in the leadoff spot against lefties, and we'll see if we start to see Lee in the leadoff spot against righties, like last night when Lee led off the game with a home run. I don't know. I think it's a good question to think about the rest of the year, and going into the offseason, where's the best spot for him? Because Jung-Hoo Lee's not a big power hitter, and he's not a slap hitter who just hits singles. He's got some juice in his bat. Like I said, he's always got 30 doubles and 10 triples. So it's an interesting thought. I think it's something I'm trying to give people maybe something to think about. Going into the offseason with a guy who's going to be here. I mean, Jung-Hoo Lee is part of this core of Chapman and Willie Adames and Devers and Lee. Those are core guys. So anyways, something to think about. And if you have any ideas, let me know. Jay Case is checking in. Jay, I appreciate the super chat. I really do. You're a big stats guy. I love it. Have you noticed the Giants' inability to get the shutdown inning after their initial scoring? It's about a 20% shutdown inning rate. With all the one-run losses, that's a big deal. Thanks. You know what? I am a stats guy, and I hope I don't come across as too much of a stats guy, but I do think the basic stats can tell you a lot. And if you combine them with the deep dive into analytics, which really tells you a lot, which I do. I think that they are telling. It's a stats driven game, right? But I also think that baseball fans enjoy statistics because there's so many of them. Maybe more so than baseball. To me is more of a numbers game for fans, more than football or more than basketball or more than hockey. I think there's more baseball statistics that you could take in, and look over and dissect and come to a conclusion on a player. So yeah, I do. I like to use stats to make my point, because I think it's okay to have an opinion, but I think it's even better to have an opinion with something to back it up with. But it doesn't mean that stats answer everything. And there's so many out there that you could also get lost in it. And I don't want to get lost in too many stats. I like it. I look at, strikeout percentage, walk percentage, because strikeout percentage is a big thing. It's something scouts look at. It's something front offices look at. But it's also a thing for the Giants this year, a negative thing, unfortunately. So anyways, I appreciate that. And, I don't like to overwhelm people with it, but I do think it's it's an important part of especially baseball, because I think it's a sport. Baseball has these numbers, right? 300. That means you're a good hitter. 250 means you're an average hitter. 200 means you're a bad hitter. So there's these numbers that stand out. 100 RBIs, 200 innings pitched. Those are kind of basic statistical baseball numbers that people know. It's right there. 300 hitter, right? 250 hitter. The ERA, if it's under 3, that means it's really good. That's what I think is cool about baseball statistics, because there's certain numbers that jump out. So, all right, let's check it out. Let me see if there's anything else before we get to our final topic, which is going to be kind of fun. It's really going to get you guys thinking. Kyle McKiernan says we'll get to the Preservation Society, but Kyle says, 100 strikeouts in 9 games. That's tough. Yeah, it is. It is, Kyle. It's too many. And again, unfortunately, I don't think the strikeout problem is. I think it's here to stay for 2025, and it absolutely has to change moving into 2026. New York Giants Preservation Society. I love those guys. They're checking in. Glenn, Lee needs to lead off. Miscast elsewhere. I think Melvin bats him elsewhere to break up strikeout guys who are littered throughout the lineup. I think that's true, and I think that is probably one of the reasons why for the first couple months Bob was batting Lee third, and then Lee did a good job batting third. But I do think that was part of it. Let's get some guys on base, and let's get a guy who puts it in play. And we've seen so often this year where the Giants needed to put it in play and they didn't. Again, that's my point. My point is where is he best fit in the lineup? I'm not sure. I just would like to let's see if it's leadoff in these final 5 weeks. Anyways, that's good. It's a good thing to think about. Cole Dunstan says, do you think Tucker's recent struggles impact his contract in the offseason? More attainable for the Giants? Cole, that's a terrific question. We're talking about Kyle Tucker, Kyle Tucker, the first 2 months of the season was an MVP candidate. Even the first 3 months. At the end of each month, I do who I think is the MVP leader in both leagues. And I had Tucker in there April, May, and June. I didn't have him in there in July. He is really struggling, and it's amazing because he's such a terrific player. I saw him with the Astros when he came up. He's a great player, good outfielder, steals bases. So this struggle that he's in, and he is really marred in a huge slump, is catching me off guard a little bit. I mean, guys, the best players have slumps, but this is a big one. So it could, I don't know. He's still going to get a boatload of money. Somebody's going to back up the Brinks truck for him. And I know the Giants made a play for him as a trade acquisition this past offseason. He ended up going to the Cubs, obviously, from the Astros. I know the Giants were interested in him. I know they tried to put together a package for him with the Astros. We're not able to do it. And I think that they will take a look at him in free agency. Yeah, I think they will. I do. But again, his price tag's gonna go high, and he's gonna have multiple suitors. So do you want to get in that game? But that is probably the kind of player, that is the kind of player you could certainly have and plug in. But that's another corner piece. That would be a long-term deal. And he has to be as great of a player as I think the Giants have a type of player that they want to add to this core. I think it's an athletic player. I think it's a really good defensive player. I think it's a guy who can run some, steal some base. I think those are the kind of players the Giants are going to be looking at to add to Chapman, Adames, Devers, Lee, whenever Bryce Eldridge gets here. Because those guys they're all not Lee, but the other guys are all have some swing and miss in their game, which we know and we see. They're going to strike out a lot. Chapman's going to strike out. Devers is going to strike out. Willie's going to strike out. Eldridge, when he gets here, is probably going to strike out. So that's okay, but you need to have guys that maybe don't have strikeout in their game. I think that's the kind of players you need to add, even if it's a couple, to kind of mix and match there with to maybe take a little of the toughness off guys who are striking out a lot, and the Giants have some strikeout guys in their lineup. So, anyways, we'd love to have Kyle Tucker. I guess it could drop his price a little bit, the struggle he's having, but my guess is not a lot because he's got such a great track record. He's had so many good years that I think that will trump maybe a month or two slump. But it is hard to understand how a guy like that can be in a slump. So Tom Cat says Melvin knows his guys, and Giants' record was best when Lee was in the 3-hole. I thought the idea of him in the 3-hole was pretty good, and they did have some success. But I think you're saying, well, why the heck did you move out of there? Well, he hit the skid, remember? What did I say? In June, he hit 143. Well, now you can't, and it was an extended slump. I mean, it was long. It was the whole month. So you can't just stay with the guy in the third spot. You can do that if it's a 10-day slump. You can't do it if it's a 5 or 6 week slump, and that's what Lee was in. So, anyways, yeah, I mean, maybe it is the third spot. Who knows? But that's sort of what we're talking about. Gary says, "Hey, late getting here. Just thought I would ask a question since MLB realignment has been in the news so much. What do you think of the 4 California teams in one division, not counting the Las Vegas A's?" Gary, you read my mind, because that is our final segment for tonight. It's been out there lately because the commissioner went on national TV and he started talking about it, which was very interesting. And I thought it would be a good way to end the show because it's such I love the topic because it's so interesting and it gets you thinking about, well, who are the teams and the realignment and all. And it's what it is. It's great baseball chatter. Okay. And that's why I kind of wanted to get started with this. And we'll talk about it more. In fact, the gentleman that was going to come on with me tonight, Grant Brisbee, and if you're a subscriber to The Athletic, you know how great Grant is. If you're not, you should be, because he covers the Giants as well as anybody with a little flair for some humor, and he's great. But anyways, Grant had an article today in The Athletic about expansion and realignment, and listen, it's coming, folks. It's closer, maybe than we think. I'm not saying in the next year or two, but I think Major League Baseball, once they feel like the A's situation is somewhat clarified and they're going to Las Vegas, and the Tampa Bay stadium situation starts to take shape. They have new owners down there now. Once they feel confident that those things are in place, then I think they're going to move on expansion. So let's start with expansion, okay? Because you want to get to 32 teams. I think that's the number. In any league, that's the number. NFL has 32, NHL has 32, NBA only has 30, but 32 is the one you want. 24 is a good number for a league to break it up even. 32, I think, is probably the ultimate number. So you want to get to 32, so you got to add 2. So the big question initially will be, who's it going to be? Who are the 2 expansion teams? What 2 expansion cities are going to get Major League Baseball? There's your question. I've heard different things from people who got a little bit of an idea what's going on. I'm going to throw out who I think are the 4 top candidates just from things that I've heard. I'm not saying I'm 1,000% correct here, but I think I'm probably in the ballpark. I think the 4 best options for expansion are Nashville. I think that's very fair. Charlotte. I think that's fair. Charlotte's a huge market down there. They have basketball, football, they got a lot going on down there. I think Charlotte's very legit. I think Portland, and I think Salt Lake City. Okay. Those are the 4 that I think are the top candidates right now. This could change. And here's how I kind of see it. I do think Major League Baseball wants an expansion team in the West. Okay. And when I say West, doesn't necessarily have to be in California or on the West Coast, but I think, it needs to be, in Mountain time zone at least, right? Where Colorado is. So if you think about this and just work along with me here. If you need a team in the West, this is why. Because right now I'm not including Colorado in the West right now, and I'll tell you why. Because to me, Colorado, where they're at the Mountain time zone, they can, and they're in the West right now, right? They're in the National League West, obviously. But when you start realigning, you could put them either in the West, you could put them in the Central. They're one time zone away from the Central, and the time zone thing is important, and I'm going to talk about that a lot. So So I'm eliminating Colorado at this point. And that's why I say you need an 8th team out west. Because right now you have Seattle, San Francisco, Anaheim, LA, San Diego, Arizona, and then Sacramento / Las Vegas. That's 7. Okay. And again, I just explained why we're not putting Colorado in there right now. But I think that right there is why Major League Baseball wants a West Coast expansion team, whether it be Salt Lake City or Portland. That would be your 8th. Okay. So it depended on how you divide up the leagues or whatever. But my point is we're just talking expansion now. I think they want a team in the West. And then obviously you go to, Charlotte's in the East, Nashville's in the Central. You can do a lot of things with where they're at geographically, those two teams. And again, Nashville in the Central, Charlotte in the East, time zones. So they want one in the West, whether it be Salt Lake City, Portland, or something else. I don't think Sacramento's in the mix. Oakland's not in the mix. And then you got one of the two, Nashville and Charlotte. That's my thoughts on it, and what I've heard. I'm certainly not an expert on this, but so you get to 32, right? That's big. Then you have realignment, which this is a whole different ball game here, right? But you have to decide then, how do you want to do the leagues? I don't think you should eliminate the American League and the National League. I think you have to keep the 2 leagues. And a lot of people are throwing different alignment ideas out there, and it's fun to look at. It's fun to read, and it gives you ideas and how it may all settle in 3, 4, 5 years, whenever this happens. But I'm a strong believer that you have to keep the American League and the National League. I know there's talk about just eliminate it and put everybody in one. I don't agree with that at all. I think you need to keep the 2 leagues. Then you have to decide, if you have 32 teams, do you have 8 4-team divisions? 4 divisions in each league, that gets you to 32. You could have 2 8-team divisions, 2 divisions in each league. I don't know. Football has the 4 divisions in each conference, 4 teams in each. So that to me, I think would probably be the best. But again, there's so much to talk about, and if I'm confusing you, I apologize. But if you just think about 32, right? 16 teams in the American League, 16 teams in the National League. Let's stay with the National League. You divide it up. You got 4 divisions in the National League of 4 teams each. That gets you to 16. You do the same thing in the American League. That's probably the route that realignment would go. Now, listen, you can get into, well, who should go where? That's 3 shows by itself, right? But that will be the fun part when this whole thing gets sorted out. You get to 32 teams and you do realignment. You probably would have to have a couple teams switch leagues. That's it's happened before. We've seen it happen. The Astros moved, Brewers moved, the teams, we've seen it happen before. And I think that my guess is when realignment does happen, it'll be complicated and there'll be a lot of moving parts and time zones and who wants to be, but I do think a couple teams would probably switch leagues. The Rockies could easily go to the American League. And they could join the Astros and the Rangers. There's so many different things to think about, and I'm not going to go into all that. But I just wanted to get you folks thinking about some ideas for realignment and the expansion thing. You only get 2 new teams. So what the heck is going to happen there? But it's a fascinating subject. And I love it. A lot of people are putting realignment ideas out there, and I look at all of them. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. But for all the ideas that are out there, there was a couple that had the Dodgers and the Giants in different divisions. It's like, okay, let's not get crazy here. Let's keep it really simple, okay? National League West, 4-team division, right? Pretty simple. Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Diamondbacks. Boom. Let's not get too complicated. But again, it's fun to talk about and come up with some ideas, because this is a topic that we will certainly hit many times in the next couple of years, because it's a thing. And I enjoy it. I think it's interesting, and it's going to be, when it's all said and done, getting to 32 teams and having realignment will be very, very good for baseball. It'll shorten trips, little less travel for the players, geographically better realignment, and that's really what Major League Baseball wants, to be better aligned geographically. So anyways, give me your thoughts and ideas about that for a different show. But we're going to wrap this one up. We're going to do it with one final comment from the New York Giants Preservation Society. August 19th, 68 years ago, Giants announced intention to move to San Francisco. How about that? With realignment, all the talk, move the Giants back east. Love the show. Thanks for all you do. Keep us informed. That's those guys from the New York Giants Preservation Society. They have loved the Giants since they were the New York Giants. And what they want them to move back. I don't think that's going to happen, but we love those guys who are watching way back on the East Coast. So that's it for tonight's show. Let's wrap it up with we're going to get a couple sponsors in there, Eric. Keep everybody happy there. Let's start with wrapping up the show with Tilden Properties. By investing with Tilden Properties, you'll see quarterly dividends and equity buildup in the real estate market. They are into California's multi-family real estate. They're Bay Area based and family owned. Tilden Properties has been building investment wealth for their clients since 2008. You see the number, call them and go to their website. It shows you what they're all about, and it is very, very impressive. So check that out. And last but certainly not least, the Kehrig Real Estate Team. They've been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area since 1978. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or making your first purchase, check out the Kehrig Real Estate Team. They will guide you home. Call them at 925-548-4132 or go to their website at kehrigteam.com. When you call that number, ask for Mike Kehrig. So we appreciate the sponsors as always. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. We'll be back on Sunday. We're going to do a great show with Cody from the Even Year Dynasty Show. He does a great job with that show, knows the minor leagues inside and out. Cody's going to join us again. That's Sunday night at 5 o'clock for the Glenn Kuiper Show, All Giants. That's when we will come your way again, but we'll keep the videos coming as well. So thanks to the subscribers. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Look at all the stuff we got now on the channel. It's really growing. So thanks for the show, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you down the road. Coming up, it's the Giants and the Padres, Game 3 of the series. Have a good one, everybody.